Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm gonna be giving you what if Naruto had Godlike, Toon Force, and reality warping. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget to comment down below and tell me if you're new. And if you are, I indeed have 4 more channels. Anime King 2, Anime King 3, Anime Prince, and Anime Symbol. All the links will be down in the description. And go ahead and comment over an Anime Symbol if you want your what ifs to be done by me guys. So without further ado or wasting more time, why don't we jump right into this? Begin now guys. So, the last part we left off. Hiruzen Sarutobi was gazing towards the remains of Minato and Kushina, and Anvu was holding the baby boy over to the side. Tonight was a truly tragic affair. They lost so many people, and even their Hokage as well. The Nine Tails had been sealed inside of the boy over there. To think that he lost so much in just a few short hours of his birth. However, that is when it happened. Lightning of all colors came raining down from the heavens. The Anvu was blown away. When Hiruzen got back to his feet, he saw that Naruto was in a green liquid. It turns out that said green liquid was coming from one of Orochimaru's labs, and the lightning was still cackling around him. Hiruzen risked it as he jumped down to grab the boy, hoping that nothing was wrong with him. That is when Naruto started to cry before a blanket magically appeared around him, shocking Sarutobi. A few years passed by like that. Hiruzen was making his way outside of the village where Naruto was residing. Unfortunately, he had to take some drastic measures to make sure that Naruto did not do what he did when he was younger. The boy did not understand the concept of good or bad, or wrong or right, and it led him to do some things. Hiruzen still to this day do not understand his abilities, which seemingly seem to be endless, like he can do whatever he wants. The only person that he actually knew that could help the boy was Danzo. While a Yamanaka could go into someone's mind, Hiruzen feared if one of them were to enter Naruto's mind given his abilities and his behavior. Danzo was monitored though, as Naruto came to see him as a grandfather as well. Hiruzen didn't like that much, but at least it helped. We then finally got introduced to Naruto, a wacky 12-year-old child that was a bit hyperactive and crazy. Just like Hiruzen said, he could do some things that were truly abnormal and strange. Hiruzen had to lie to Naruto for the past couple of years, telling him that he was infected with a virus and that he could not go outside. They applied the sealing arts to make him believe that he was really sick. So for the past few years he has been stuck inside. However, Hiruzen, the guilt was catching up to him, and not to mention he believed that Danzo had done enough to reintroduce Naruto back to society. So with that, they told him that it was a day. They inject him. There was nothing inside that would do anything, but it was to make Naruto believe that he was actually sick. When Naruto got outside and he took his first breath, he teleported. Naruto found himself in a different universe entirely, as he came across a man fighting a large purple cat unaware that it was Goku and Beerus, as he ended up pissing Beerus off. However, he teleported away before he could get destroyed. Well, if that could even happen. As Beerus asked Whis who the hell was that. Whis unfortunately had no idea, but he knew that boy did not belong in this universe. His power, it was unusual. Naruto returned and told his two judges about what happened. They thought that he might, well, be just imagining it, or maybe he actually went to another world or something like that. They tend to realize that Naruto could do the impossible. So with that, he was brought back to Konoha, and Naruto met one of his bestest friends, Sai. Sai had really changed over the years as well. He was able to adapt and gain actual emotions, and with said emotions he was feeling bad because he was lying to one of his bestest friends. He didn't really have any other friends, just Naruto. Danzo had brought him there to ensure that the boy was loyal through and through. But now Sai was feeling bad of misleading Naruto. But there was nothing that he could do about it. As Naruto was brought to a house, Sai would also be staying there as well. Anvus were in the other levels of said apartment. As it was rather large, Naruto was put on constant watch. However, Hiruzen believed that the boy could be more beneficial to Konoha as well. Danzo actually believed that as well. Hiruzen was surprised as it seemed to see that Naruto had changed Danzo a lot over the years. Or maybe it was all just an act. He did not know. The first day of school, Naruto was a bit nervous. Sai told him to just relax and be normal, if he could do that. As they went to the academy, Naruto put on a big show for everyone there. Some of the kids found it funny. Some of them found him strange. Some of them found him rather crazy. Today was actually the big test, as Naruto was able to perform the test in a matter of seconds, and Aruka was baffled because he got everything right. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across to play check for yourself, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family, and thank you for all of your help and support. So yeah, without further ado or wasting no more time, what is so we leap right into this brand new episode. Let's begin now guys. We begin this episode with our favorite blonde. At the moment he was asleep, as he was snoring rather loudly, so much so that he was shaking the whole entire building. Suddenly, the alarm clock right next to his bed, the top of it opened up, and a miniature Naruto emerged. He reached down and pulled out a mallet that was somehow larger than the entire apartment. He then brought it down on Naruto's skull. Naruto's bed was flattened, so was Naruto. As he peeled himself off, the miniature Naruto smiled. Wake up time, he said, as he dived back into the alarm clock. Naruto brought a hand up to his mouth as he stuck his thumb in his mouth and started to blow, until he blew his body back up. He then flipped and jumped to his feet. A brand new day, he said to himself, as he rushed towards a window and threw it open, glancing up towards the sun, the trees, as he watched the birds chirp. There was a brilliant smile on his face as the sunlight bathed down towards him. Ah, said Naruto. That is when he realized the sunlight was still on him, and he started to smell something nice. He then looked down and realized Naruto screamed, his scream reverberating through Konoha as the sun was cooking him. Meanwhile, next door, Sai was awoken by all the noise. As he rubbed his eyes, he got up, dressed in a white t-shirt and black shorts. Sai made his way towards the room next door, knowing that if Naruto is not stopped, he would accidentally do something really stupid. However, the moment Sai opened the door, he found himself in a gigantic wasteland. Sai looked around. Suddenly, the sun was blacked out. Sai rolled his eyes and turned to reach the door. However, the door was now gone. He couldn't see a damn thing. Naruto, where are you? He said. Naruto, he called out. not seeing anyone. That is when he heard something. Something moving. Sai looked around, getting on guard. That is when he saw it. A gigantic beast, tearing out the earth and rushing towards him. Sai had no other choice but to run. He is known from experience that the things that Naruto do are indeed real. They might seem like they were some kind of illusion, but they could really hurt you or even kill you. The monster came to a stop, allowing Sai to slow down as well. The monster now looked afraid. That is when he realized it was afraid of something. The ground started to shake around him. Sai noticed something as he was standing on something moist. That is when he saw gigantic rows of white materials rising up. He soon then realized that it was teeth, gigantic teeth. And he was in the center, and what he was standing on was a tongue. Sai realized that he was being swallowed by a much larger monster. As he fell, he was being swallowed. He gripped on for dear life, trying to escape the saliva. He was being pulled down. That is when he realized the stomach acid was made from lava. However, before he could fall, a hand burst through the monster's side and grabbed his hand. Do not worry, citizen, because I am here. Sai was pulled out as he realized that Naruto was the one holding on to him. He was different. He was now an adult, with black wavy hair, with blue eyes. He had a strange mark in his chest like a S. As he looked towards the monster, before he released his heat vision and burned it up, Naruto landed with Sai as a people. Thousands of them appear out of nowhere, clapping Naruto as he smiled. Sai released a breath. Most of the time it was a hassle, being Naruto's friend. The apartment returned back to normal in a second, as Sai collapsed down in the couch. Every morning, it's another one with you, huh? Sai said to him. What's the point of life if life is not fun, said Naruto. And besides, today is the day that I find out which team I'm going to be on. And who is going to be my sensei, he said. Who do you think it is? Do you think it's someone smart? As Naruto transformed into a really smart-looking guy. Or someone strong. He turned into a buff person that went to the gym. Or someone who is just creepy. The place turned pitch black as Naruto turned into a creepy demon before it returned back to normal. Well, maybe. If you get ready for school and head off to school, you'll find out. Naruto's eyes went wide, to the point that they extended out of his skull. Shit, the time, he said as he grabbed both of his eyeballs and shoved them back inside. He then rushed away. He then came back out of the closet door, striking a pose, as he was wearing a black t-shirt with a white coat over it, black pants, black sandals. He was strapped from head to toe with weapons. Now that's a bit too much. Yeah, I suppose you're right, said Naruto. He went and he returned back. He was wearing a yukata with a gigantic butcher blade in his hand. He was now serious as he spoke. I am the one that fights the souls that are corrupted. I take them down with a slash of my katana. And if that doesn't work, then I go a step further and shout, Bankai, he said. Suddenly, a wave of unknown energy started to leak from him, shaking the whole room. Naruto, cut it out, said Sai. Naruto was gone once again as he returned, this time in black shorts, sandals, and a normal black and white t-shirt with his ninja pouch strapped to him. But Sai knew that there was no weapon inside. There was something really crazy inside, but there was not a weapon inside. Well, Naruto does not really need supplies at all. Well, I guess I'll be on my way. See you later, said Naruto, as his legs started to run, but his upper body still hadn't moved yet. His legs went off by themselves. Hey, wait up, said Naruto, as his body flew after them. Sai stood there in the apartment, having gone through that roller coaster several times now. Sai was finding it much harder than being emotionless to deal with emotions, to actually care for someone as a friend. And at the same time, you were sent there to make sure that they were kept stable. And you've been lying to them. Several things that you know. They would be angry for, but you don't say anything because you were told not to. He simply lowered his head, hoping if the truth come out one day, Naruto would forgive him. Time skip, the academy. Naruto threw the doors open. "Good morning, New York," he said, before he slapped himself. "Sorry, I'm not sure where that came from. I mean, good morning, classroom," he said. He had gained several friends in a short amount of time. Maybe it was because of his crazy attitude and the amazing stuff that he could do. Yeah, that must be the case. The next 10 minutes, that seemed like at least 2 seconds, was spent with Naruto doing his crazy shenanigans. It's been a long while since Sasuke Uchiha was able to focus on himself. Usually, he would be swarmed by fangirls, but Naruto was always drawing all of the attention recently. Given the fact that he was new, Sasuke would have hoped that he would have been here from day one, so these fangirls would leave him alone. As Naruto spotted one of his favorite person, in a very short time, he was able to become friends with the Hyuga heiress. Naruto couldn't help it. She was just so sweet and kind. She reminded him of a little kitten. "Good morning, Hinata," said Naruto. Hinata looked up towards him. Good morning, Naruto-kun," she said. It is not usually that she made friends rather quickly. However, Naruto was different. He was kind, he was sweet, and gentle with her as well, knowing her shortcomings of being shy. He started to mess with her hair as she blinked. "Oh, what are you doing?" she asked, as he started to touch her face, which turned a bit red. "Don't worry," he said. "It's quite alright." He then reached behind him and pulled out a mirror. Hinata's eyes widened. She had 2 fluffy cat ears and whiskers on her face, similar to his, but hers were coming out like a cat, and her nose now looked like a cat. What did you do?" "I simply turned you into what I believe you truly are, a sweet, kind little kitten," said Naruto. Hinata tugged on the cat ears as she felt it. It was really attached to her. She tugged on the nose as well. She was starting to freak out as Naruto noticed that. "Oh, don't worry," he said, as he grabbed the side of her neck. She did not feel anything as Naruto peeled off the top half of her face. Underneath was her normal face. As he was holding nothing in his hand, she looked over herself several times. She was back to normal. However, despite how freaked out she was also curious. How did you do that? She knew that he had these odd abilities, but she didn't know that he could do it to people. "Well, I guess my abilities are just that infectious," he said. "Hey, what's going on here?" a voice said as Naruto turned, as Kiba came marching up. Kiba did not like Naruto that much, despite how funny and hilarious he was. And the reason was the girl sitting right next to him. Kiba had the biggest crush on Hinata, and Naruto was moving in on his territory as he saw it. So yeah, that made him did not like Naruto that much. Naruto placed an arm around Hinata's shoulder, which made her turn a bit more red. "Can't you see that you're interrupting 2 friends bonding?" Hinata blinked. Given the fact that they just met, she never knew that Naruto considered her as a friend, and that made her feel happy. Kiba started to run his mouth, as Naruto did not like that. He reached up and ripped it off his face. Kiba blinked as he started to touch his face, where he was screaming but nothing was coming out of his face, but it was coming out of his mouth that Naruto was holding in the center of his palm. "What did you do to me?" Kiba yelled, as several of the kids turned around as they started to laugh, seeing him running around like crazy. As Naruto threw his mouth back to him, it slammed right into his face as he collapsed down. "And that's what you get," said Naruto. Before anyone else could say anything, Aruka entered in the class. "Alright, everyone settle down, especially you, Naruto." Suddenly Naruto looked down as chains were on his arms and legs, Hold him in place. Iruka blinked. You're the one that said to settle down, said Naruto, causing the children to laugh once again. Iruka sighed. I just want to congratulate everyone here, he said. Naruto, where's your headband, he asked. Oh, said Naruto as he started to look around, searching himself. Where did I put it again, Naruto thought. Suddenly, a thought bubble appeared, with Naruto inside of it, walking with his headband going home. Hey, I'm gonna borrow that, okay? Naruto said to his thoughts. Yeah, sure thing. The thought took off the headband and tossed it, as Naruto caught it in reality and placed it on. Everyone was speechless. The more he did, the more they were surprised. He seemed to have no limits at all. Iruka decided to just get past that, because that might be a bit too much. Alright, he said. Naruto sighed as Iruka started to give a long, boring speech. Why don't we fast track this, said Naruto. What do you mean, Hinata asked. Naruto reached into his shirt and pulled out a remote. He then pressed the fast track button. Iruka started to speed up. The whole class started to speed up, except for him and Hinata. What are you doing, she said. Just like what I said. Fast tracked in, said Naruto, as he pressed play once again. So that's it, Iruka said. Now for the teams that you're going to be on. Naruto pressed the fast track button again, until he caught his name. Naruto Uzumaki, on Team 7, with Sakura Haruno. Sakura glanced upwards. She was going to be in a team with him. And Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura jumped out of her seat, but Naruto pressed pause. Pausing her in mid-ear. Whoa, lucky thing I caught that, Naruto said, as he started to dial down her happiness. When he pressed back play, Sakura returned back to her seat. She was smiling. Woohoo, she said. See? Much better, said Naruto. Hinata heard her name next, on Team 8, along with Kiba Inuzaka, and also Shino Aberame. Kiba seemed really happy, as Naruto frowned. I was hoping that we could be on the same team together, he said. Yes, that would have been nice, she said to him. Well, it doesn't matter, we're still in the same village, said Naruto. And also, he reached into his shirt, as he pulled out a piece of paper. Here, he said to her. What's this? If you ever get in trouble, or things go off the rail, just squeeze that paper in your hand, and say my name 3 times, and everything shall be fine, he said. Hinata did not doubt his words, after seeing what he can do. Thank you, she said. No problem, said Naruto. What are friends for? She smiled. I am glad we're friends, she said to him. Well, who wouldn't want to be friends with you? You're one of the nicest person I know, said Naruto with a smile. As she couldn't help but smile back, as Iruka went on to Team 9, which was still in circulation. Team 10 was the Inoshikacho. They were set to wait here for their senseis. Some of them were already here. When the door first opened, Naruto lay eyes on Kurenai. His head turned into a dog as he started to bark and howl to the sky. His chest then started to beat hard, so much so that his heart was literally being seen through his shirt, returning and expanding, along with his eyes, and his tongue exploded out of his face at how beautiful she was. Kurenai glanced up toward the scene that just happened. Iruka looked towards her. It's best if you don't ask, he said. Almost everyone had heard about him, especially the Jonins. The Hokage had called a meeting, and everyone was informed about this boy. The Hokage also set a threat level to him, and the threat level was truly shocking to everyone. Harrison had said the boy was a max threat level, even all the 9-tailed beasts together. He doubted was not as dangerous as this boy. That had left many of them in disbelief, allowing many of them to follow and watch him. And every one of them that tried to hide, they were all caught. Granted, he did not do them anything. As much as dangerous as he could be, he was not. He was kind, generous, and just loved to have fun. Kurenai called for her team. However, Naruto embraced Hinata in a hug. The place turned into a strange scene, like two friends saying goodbye, like they wouldn't see each other for a very long time. Tears were leaking from his eyes. Hinata stepped towards him. You said it yourself, we're in the same village. You don't have to cry. I know, he said, but you're one of my best friends already. And the thought of losing you is so painful. I'll miss you, he said. Take care of yourself until we meet again. Hinata simply chuckled a bit, as she found it rather funny. She knew that he was being a bit extra, and she liked it. He was really funny. Kiba growled at him as he passed by, only for the door to whack Kiba over the head. What the hell, Kiba said, looking around, as the door had returned back to normal. Even Kurenai had to chuckle a bit at that one. As Naruto turned on the dazzling eyes on her, he then blew her a kiss. Said kiss started to advance towards her as she watched it, before it poof into red smoke. It had a wonderful aroma. Until we meet again, wonderful lady, said Naruto in a deep, masculine voice. So they watched as all of the teams got their sensei, leaving only Team 7. Sakura figured that this would be a good time to try and get to know Naruto. She turned towards the seat. However, he was no longer there as she turned to see him standing on Sasuke's decks, looking right at him. Naruto sat down and folded his legs on top of Sasuke's decks. So, what's your deal? Said Naruto. What? Sasuke said. I mean, I did see these curious looks on your face, but other than that, you're always so grumpy and serious. So what's your deal? Sasuke's response was to glare at Naruto. Well, that's not very nice, said Naruto. You know we are going to be on a team, right? I suggest that we become friends, as he extended his hand. Get off my deck, Sasuke said. Wow. No, you're the grumpy cold one, I see, said Naruto as he jumped off his decks and landed. What about you, Pinky? Said Naruto. My name is Sakura Haruno, she said. Not Pinky. Yeah, I already know that, said Naruto. So, you want to be friends? Well, we are going to be on the same team. As long as you don't do any of your nonsense on me. Nonsense? What you've been doing since you got here, said Sakura. The next thing she knew, she found herself in a tower. Oh, where can he be? She said, placing a hand on her chest. She's been locked here for the past 5 years, waiting for Prince Charming to come and rescue her. She heard something as she looked through her window to see a man riding on a white stallion, stretching through the forest, coming towards her. The dragon that was attached to the tower, the chain around its neck, started to rise up. The man leaped off the stallion, blade in his hand that was coated in flames. She watched in awe and fright as he battled the dragon, before eventually slaying it as he arrived in the tower, slicing the chains that were on her wrists. He took off his helmet to show long golden hair, dazzling blue eyes. He took her in his arms. I'm here for you, my princess, he said, before he laid a gentle kiss on her lips. Sakura blinked. She was back in the classroom. What? How? She looked around confused. Like that, said Naruto. She took a deep breath. It felt so real. Oh, it was, said Naruto. But how? Is it some kind of bloodline? A strange ability, she said. I'm just special, Naruto said. Sasuke was still seated where he was. In his point of view, they simply vanish and reappear in a second, like no time had passed. He was confused by this strange ability, but maybe this guy could be useful. Where is our damn sensei already, said Naruto. As he released a breath, I guess we'll just better skip to the next scene, he said. What do you mean, Sakura said. Naruto reached up and grabbed the page before pulling it down. The next moment, Sakura found herself seated. As she looked around, what just... There was the door handle turning as Kakashi Hatake stepped into the classroom. He looked rather bored. My first impression of all of you. I hate you all, he said. Naruto collapsed out of his chair laughing, as he found that ridiculously funny. Kakashi looked towards him, paying a keen attention to him for a second before. He gestured. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that he was gone. Huh, it's like a race, said Naruto, as he opened his shirt, and his shirt swallowed Sakura and Sasuke before he jumped in. The next moment a black wormhole opened on the roof, as the three of them were spat out, collapsing on their faces. Ow, Sakura said, rubbing her face. Warn someone the next time you're gonna do something like that. Yeah, sorry about that, said Naruto as he rubbed his own face. Sasuke was just glaring at him. Kakashi arrived on the roof, blinking in surprise. I guess we beated you here, Sensei. His surprise quickly faded away. I guess you did, he said. Now why don't we start with some introductions? Like what, Sensei? Sakura asks. Well, your names, hobbies, likes, dislikes. Why don't you go first so we can know what to do? Sure, he said. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I like a lot of things. I dislike a lot of things as well. My hobbies. That will be too much for you guys to hear. My dreams. I think that is too intense for you children, he said. Now why don't you go next, Pinky? As the three of them sweat dropped at his remark, he didn't tell them anything. Well, my name is Sakura Haruno. And I guess I like... She looked over towards Sasuke, as Naruto realized how much she liked the Uchiha. This was giving him a plan. Once she was finished, Kakashi turned towards Sasuke. That is when Naruto heard his dark introduction. Naruto made it a whole lot worse. The sky turned black. Lightning started to crackle through the sky. Sasuke's tone was deep and dangerous. And I will avenge my clan, he said, shaking the entire place with an ominous feeling of fear. Even the animals that were gathering out of nowhere ran for their life. The place then cleared back up. Sasuke's glare was on Naruto once again, who simply smiled at him, despite the ominous thing that Sasuke just said. Well, funny one, you're next, Kakashi said. That's right. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I like... Naruto started to list off at least 10,000 things. I don't really dislike anything, he said. And my dreams... That is when he suddenly stopped. What's wrong, Kakashi asks. I'm not sure. I don't have any, said Naruto. Well, that's alright. You're still young. You can think of one on the way as you grow. I guess you're right. Now listen up, said Kakashi. Tomorrow, you all will be partaking in a test. A test? Yes. At Training Ground 7. And if I was you guys, I would skip breakfast. With that, Kakashi flashed away, leaving them alone. Well, that was ominous, said Naruto. Well, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Before Sakura could protest, Naruto hugged her. Come on, Uchiha, bring it in. A team hug. Hell no, Sasuke said, walking away. Naruto broke the hug with Sakura. He's a real bummer, isn't he? What? Of course not, she said. Sasuke-kun is awesome. Keep on telling yourself that. As Naruto leaned forward and kissed her right on the forehead. Sweet dreams tonight, he told her, before he simply burst into smoke. Sakura reached up as she touched her forehead. No, that was a strange goodbye, she thought to herself. She had to say, he was not that bad. Not including his strange ability to do this crazy stuff, he was nice. And sweet as well. She liked him. He would make for a good teammate. And plus, she also had Sasuke-kun as well. That made her smile. Meanwhile, as Naruto was returning home, he suddenly looked down as the ground seemed to fracture. reality itself as he fell right through it. Naruto found himself in a large, empty space. He kept on falling until he was seated on a couch. There was another couch in front of him, a rather large screen television on the wall with cartoons. There was food. As Naruto reached and picked up one of the chips and started to eat. This was not his doing. He had no idea how he was here, but he was not really afraid. The silver door then opened to his right as a person stepped inside. They had similar complexion, but he had dark hair, green eyes, and they were the same age as well. He was smiling at Naruto. "Why, hello there, my friend," he said. "I'm glad that you could make it. I see you're already enjoying the finest chips in the world." "These are the finest," said Naruto. As he started to eat even more. "So, who are you? And how did you bring me here?" Questions, he said. "Let's start from the beginning, alright?" "Yeah, sure," said Naruto. "I have the time. So yeah, who are you?" "First of all, my name is One." "One? Like the number one," said Naruto. "Exactly. You see, we are similar. I mean, by the things that we can do." One clapped his hand together and created a bucket of popcorn as he started to toss it in his mouth at a pace that only took one scoop. "So you have similar abilities to me," said Naruto. "Yes," One said with a smile. "I couldn't believe it when I felt power like my own out there in the universe. Sorry that it took me this long to find you," he said. "But now you're home." "Home?" said Naruto. "Yes," said One. "I'm in charge of a very powerful group that maintain balance throughout the multiverse. And you will be part of that group. It is your destiny," he said. "Everyone that obtained the power that you know," said Naruto. One blinked. "Oh, what do you mean, no?" Naruto got up. "I mean, no. I don't want what you want me to do. I have my home back at the Hidden Leaf Village. So bye-bye," said Naruto as he grabbed the door handle and opened it. But it slammed right in his face. Naruto blinked. "I'm not done talking to you," said One. "Why not?" "I already said no. I'm afraid you don't understand what is going on. You don't understand the seriousness of this. You cannot stay there." "My home? It is not your home anymore. As you've already seen that you possess abilities that no other human beings can ever possess. You're not like them. You're like us. Well, I don't know you. And I have people back there that I care for, so goodbye," said Naruto. As he gripped the door handle, Naruto ripped it off the hinges and threw it away. "Try to close it now. You're gonna regret this," said One. Naruto paused as he looked towards him. He saw the seriousness on One's face. And, for the first time in a long while, Naruto also turned serious. The whole place started to shake and crack. "If you try anything harmful, I'll kill you," said Naruto. "Goodbye for now," he said as he walked away. His whole persona just switching that easily. As Naruto jumped through the crack, returning back to his reality, One watched him leave. He was upset. How dare he turn me down like that? No one ever turns me down. I always get what I want. He slammed his fist down on the table. The whole reality that he was in cracked and burst into pieces. "And you will join us, whether you like it or not," Naruto Uzumaki, he said. Back with Naruto. As he returned, Naruto was confused. He seemed to have jumped forward in time because it was currently night time. He made his way to his apartment when he noticed ninjas leaping from rooftop to rooftop. They were coming from one direction, the Hokage's tower. Time skip. Naruto came swinging down, as a web was coming from his hand, allowing him to swing down like a spider. Hiruzen turned his gaze. Naruto, he said. What's up, old man, said Naruto as he flipped down, as he landed in a spider pose. Awesome, right? I thought you would have come to speak to me today after meeting your sensei. I got carried away, said Naruto. So what's going on? We have a traitor in the village. He stole something very important. This man, you know him. His name is Mizuki. He was partnered with 2 others, but he killed them to gain the reward all for himself, after using them to gain what he desired. What's that? The Forbidden Scroll. Something that cannot fall in the hands of the enemy. Konoha would be in jeopardy. Don't worry, old man, said Naruto. I'll find him and bring him back, okay? Hiruzen nodded as Naruto leaped off into the sky. Naruto stood in mid-air looking around. Oh, wait a minute. I can't fly. He started to fall down to the ground. Until, oh, I can, he said, as wings came from his back and started to flutter. He looked like a gigantic bird in the air. Now where is that traitor? Animal linking ability. Activate, he said. Yeah, I think that's a cool name, said Naruto. Suddenly, Naruto could see out of all the animal eyes in the forest, when he saw someone rushing towards a small little hut and trying to head underground. Found you, he said. Naruto pulled out a whip as he started to twirl it in mid-air before he threw it. It caught onto a tree. He then pulled. However, he accidentally ripped the earth apart. He pulled it up instead of pulling himself down. Not what I wanted to do, said Naruto. The rope pulled itself out of his hand. That hurt, you know. It hurt? But you're a rope. That's your function. Let's see how you like it. The rope grabbed him by the neck and yanked him downwards. Boom! Naruto slammed into the ground like a meteor, uprooting trees and destroying the earth. Mizuki leaped away from the collision. The rope started to laugh, and that's how it felt. Well, this is going to hurt a lot more, said Naruto. Ignite. The rope screamed as it was burst into flames, as Naruto laughed. Now you're the one that's in pain, huh? I'm dying! The rope screamed before it withered away into nothing. Naruto brushed his hands off. I guess that really ruined the environment. He placed his hand down as the ground started to fix itself. Trees started to regrow, and the ones that were rooted out lift themselves up and plant themselves back in the ground. Mizuki, knowing of this boy's strange ability, he saw his perfect opportunity and threw his massive Fuma Shuriken. Naruto turned, slice. His head collapsed down to the ground. Mizuki blinked, he couldn't believe it. He did it. Now to get the hell out of here. Hey, you jackass. Mizuki paused. As Naruto's body was still upright, his head was screaming at Mizuki. What was that for? Suddenly, Naruto's body regrew out of the decapitating head, and his other body regrew another head. Hey there, said Naruto. Nice to meet you. The name is Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you as well. I am also Naruto Uzumaki. Well, you're one handsome individual, Naruto said. And you are one as well. I mean, we're perfect, look at us. Mizuki used that opportunity to run away. Hey, he's running away, the Naruto on the left said. Suddenly, the place changed into a cowboy settings. Let's hog tie this hog, said Naruto. Hell yeah, the other Naruto said, as he hopped on their horses. Mizuki had no idea what was going on. One moment he was in a forest, the next he was in a desert. He heard something as he turned to see horses. Giant horses rushing towards him. We got you now, one of the Naruto on the left said. Hee-haw, the one on the right said before they threw their rope. It wrapped around Mizuki's head and legs, pulling him down to the ground. The one on the right grabbed the scroll as he flipped off his horse. Hell yeah, the one on the left said, waving at his friend. In front of you, the one on the right said, as the one on the left slammed into a tree and burst into water. Naruto sighed. He was a good friend. I'll miss him. Now for you, he said, looking down. What was the big deal? Why did you steal this scroll? I'm not telling you anything, Mizuki said. The ropes were like steel. He could not break them. Is that so? Said Naruto. It's been some time now since I hang out with my friend. He must be getting lonely. You want to meet him? Mizuki started to worry, judging by the smile on Naruto's face. Naruto then held on to his stomach before he opened his stomach. Mizuki saw a black void of ink. It grabbed and sucked him inside. The next moment, Mizuki found himself in front of bars, as he was behind giant bars. Hey there! He heard from outside to see Naruto sitting on top of the water. Don't kill him, okay? But you can play with him, okay? Suddenly, Mizuki saw two gigantic red eyes appear out of the darkness. And then, the place was illuminated, allowing him to see what he was looking at. Mizuki crapped and peed himself in absolute fright. I'll tell you everything. Please, get me out of here, he screamed. Kurama stepped forward as he roared, like a lion. Nope. He has 1 hour, said Naruto. If I were you, I would run. The environment changed, as Kurama was now in a fiery place, the closest representation to hell. He smiled. For the next hour, he chased Mizuki. Every time he crushed or ripped him apart, Mizuki would reform, as Kurama enjoyed the chase. However, Mizuki also felt the pain of his body being torn or gouged, and it was horrendous and horrible. Yes, it was. Kurama was not exactly sealed within Naruto anymore. It might seem like he was still there, but he was in a completely separate dimension. Naruto had met Kurama a long time ago, and he was not liking the way the fox was locked up. So he gave him his freedom. This entire separate dimension belonged to him. There was even other creatures here, as big as him, that he enjoyed hunting and devouring, despite him being a chakra beast. That was no longer the case. Naruto was able to change Kurama from the inside out, making him more animal-like. And Kurama loved being in this dimension, given the fact that he didn't seem to want to return back to the original dimension, where he was created at all. Moments later, Mizuki was on the ground, shaking for dear life. So, gonna tell me now, Naruto asked. Or do you want me to send you back? No, please. I'll tell you everything, Mizuki said. Just don't do that again. I beg you. Naruto smiled as he dragged him along. Mizuki was babbling and squirming. He was truly and utterly terrified. Getting him back to the Hokage's office was easy, as the envoys took him away. It was the easiest interrogation that Ibiki ever had in his entire life. Mizuki was praying to them and whoever might hear him to not let that boy put his hands on him ever again. Uncle was there as well, and she was interested to see one child had put such a fear into this man. However, she did hear the things that said child could do. Time skip. Both Sakura and Sasuke was on the field. Their sensei was not here yet, as their stomach was growling. Yes, they were hungry because they had listened to what Kakashi had said, and they had not eaten anything. So they were hungry, and they were still waiting for their sensei to arrive. Naruto was not even here yet. I wonder where he is, Sakura said, thinking about both her sensei and Naruto. Sasuke simply remained quiet, as he decided to block out the hunger. The ground started to vibrate. What the hell is that? Sakura said. Suddenly Naruto burst out of it. His whole body was spinning like a gig as he landed on his feet. Oh hey there guys, he said, with a smile on his face. The first thing he heard was their stomach. As Sakura looked rather embarrassed, Sasuke looked away. Huh, good thing I brought this, said Naruto, as he reached behind him and pulled out a giant bag. Here, catch. He tossed them something. Sasuke caught it as he looked towards it. It was a sandwich. However, it was the most enticing sandwich that he ever saw. The steam from the sandwich started to open his mouth. It was out of his control. The sandwich hopped into Sasuke's mouth, and the steam brought his teeth down to bite it. The taste was... It exploded all of his taste buds. His whole body squirmed. Sakura dropped to her knees. At the taste, it was glorious. I figured that you two wouldn't eat, and that was a stupid rule. I forgot to tell you guys yesterday, after all. You would be rather exhausted if you did not eat, said Naruto. And those that you're eating are my own creation. My mouth-watering temptation sandwich. I can see that you guys like them very much. But don't worry, there's a lot more. Naruto opened the bag. Hundreds of sandwiches started to rush out. Both Sakura and Sasuke stepped back. However, they could not stop it. The sandwich started to dive into their mouths, forcing them to chew. By the time it was done, both of them were plastered on the ground. Their stomach was so large, it could be seen from a far distance away. They could not move. As Naruto walked over with two pins and poked them, a lot of air was escaped from their stomach. They flipped up to their feet though, feeling more energized than they ever felt, ever before and ever. Awesome, right? What did you put into this? Sakura said. She was talking extremely fast. A lot of things, said Naruto. This is amazing, Sasuke muttered. What was that? Said Naruto. Nothing, Sasuke said, but he couldn't believe it. He felt like he could take on 1,000 ninjas by himself. Yo, Kakashi finally arrived on the scene. Seeing two hyperactive individuals and one crazy blonde. Sensei, you're here. What took you so long? Sakura said. Where have you been? And what tests are we gonna do? And how long does it take to start? She said. She was talking rather fast. As Naruto tossed the both of them some water. I think you should wash it down, he said. They did that, as they seemingly returned back to normal. Over the whole rush. So, said Naruto, what exactly are we going to be doing? Kakashi explained the rule of the test that they were going to be taking. Sakura paled when she heard that. She had no doubt in her mind that Naruto would be able to get a bell, given the things that he can do. And Sasuke-kun was so awesome. That means she's gonna be left behind. She's gonna be left behind, she thought. That is when Naruto pulled out a pair of glasses. Smart glasses. From my calculations, there has never been a 3-man team before that include a Jonin and 2 Genins. Unless it's an apprenticeship, which would be only 1 Genin and a Jonin. I'm afraid that what you say is never been seen in history. See, it's here in the book, said Naruto. What book? Said Kakashi. As Naruto gave him a book that was titled Ninja Life. Where did you get this? I created it from all the knowledge I knew, from our own Konoha. Naruto took off the glasses as the book vanished out of Kakashi's hand. Well, let's just skip over that. Your job is to get the bell, alright? Begin, he said. Both Sakura and Sasuke jumped away. However, Naruto did not move. I was hoping to say this to you. I've been told about your unusual abilities. Oh, don't worry, Sensei, said Naruto, cutting him off. It's not like I'm gonna kill you or anything. After all, that would be bad, said Naruto, as he pulled out a strange device, and he wrote in kanji, bells. The moment he pressed OK, the bells on Kakashi's hips started to levitate. Not just those, all bells that was in the vicinity. As they started to fly towards Naruto, Naruto caught the bells. Kakashi blinked in shock. Mission complete, said Naruto. The sensei did not know how to react to that. Hiruzen had formally warned him about Naruto and the things that he could do. It was not a if Naruto would become a ninja. The only reason why Naruto was on the team, so that Kakashi could teach him, so that he could have teammates to bond with. Speaking of that, at the office, Harrison knew that the test was going on as we speak. There was only one reason why Naruto was placed on Kakashi's team, and not being taught by someone that Harrison personally assigned. It was because he wanted Naruto to have people that he could bond with within the village. Because sometime, the thought of what happened those years ago, it still scared him half to death. He knew that Naruto had a problem. They have been able to control said problem for some time now. However, certain actions and certain things that he does, it still led Hiruzen to believe that Naruto still did not have that much sympathy for anyone or anything. He did not know if it was just a mask that he was putting on. However, he had saw signs, and it had scared him over the years. That is why he wanted to make sure people were there, that he could befriend, people that he could bond with. And he was hoping Team 7 would do that. The more people that he had within Konoha, the more link that he had to this village. As much as Hiruzen was afraid to say it. He was terrified of the boy going off the deep end, because he knew what would happen. That is why he's made sure that every inch of Naruto's life had been set. Right now around his apartment, all of the tenants, they were all people that were under Hiruzen employment to watch over the boy, to make sure that nothing goes too bad. Sai was there because he was probably the only one that can calm Naruto down in a rage, being his best friend because Hiruzen and Danzo could not be there every time. So yes, he had to make sure that Naruto was kept in check, because he feared what would happen if he was to let go of certain limitations that he put on himself and empathy for the people around him. That would be truly terrifying, and Hiruzen could not let that happen, because if it does, he did not know what would happen. But he knew that it would not be good. Time skip. Kakashi Hatake was done. Hiruzen was right about what he said. There was simply nothing that he could do. Naruto was just too unpredictable. And the crazy part about it was, he was also a fighter as well. Yes, he could fight ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu. He seemed to know them all, adding that with his indestructibility. Kakashi did not see how he could reclaim the bell from the boy, who had took it upon himself to take Kakashi bells away and told him that it was his job to try and get them back. And Kakashi found himself obeying as he tried to take the bells, but failing miserably. Sasuke had winked off against Kakashi, believing that he had them. However, he was easily taken down as Naruto watched it, laughing as he did. Sakura was found by Kakashi. He took a little bit of pleasure on putting down Sasuke and taking out Sakura with genjutsu, because Naruto had outclassed him so much and he was just a child. Meanwhile that was going on, the strange boy who had called himself One was currently in the elemental nation. As he was walking rather calmly, making his way. Meanwhile, Orochimaru of the Sannin was currently residing inside of a lab. There was 3 corpses on the table as he was doing something, some inhumane experiment, when suddenly someone stepped through the wall, literally facing through it. Orochimaru blinked as he saw a child. "Hello there, Orochimaru of the Sannin," said One. Orochimaru blinked. "Who are you?" he said, shocked by this sudden interruption. "You may call me One, and I'm here for you with a proposition." Orochimaru's blade was already drawn as he swung it towards One's neck. He never trusts anyone that easily, and he would never. That is what had kept him alive over the years. One stood there, Time itself seemed to slow as he stepped right into Orochimaru's guard and placed a hand on his chest. Orochimaru's body seemed to be hit by an unseen, unprecedented force. His whole frame blasted through at least 15 walls. Every bone in his body shattered. Orochimaru had no choice but to regurgitate himself as his body was completely wrecked, organs inside destroyed by just one simple attack. The Sannin was baffled as he looked at his base. Several sound ninjas started to emerge. Go to sleep. One's voice spread through the entire base. They started to collapse one after another. Orochimaru was back on his feet. Do we really have to do that again? The Sannin stopped in his tracks. Who, better yet, what are you? All you need to know is that I'm a very powerful being who is here to offer you what you desire the most. One said as he held up his hand. A green light shot from his palm and entered the Sannin. The next moment, Orochimaru's hand moved on its own and ripped right through his heart. He used the blade to tear right through his chest. The Sannin was shocked as he couldn't believe it. However, he gasped. He was alright. The wound quickly healed. Orochimaru checked himself over at least a dozen times. Confused, shocked. How? You're immortal. That is what you desired after all, isn't it? How did you? As I said, I'm an extremely powerful being, said one. And all I require for this power of yours, your immortality now, is for you to kill someone for me. Orochimaru blinked. If you have the power to grant me immortality and also throw me by just touching my chest with such a force, why can't you kill them yourself? That is not something for you to know, said one. And I said, you will do this for me. I came here peaceful and I grant you something that you desire. Do you really want me to use force against you, he said. Orochimaru stepped back as the Sannin felt terrified. This child, no, this was no normal child, this monster was truly something dangerous. Who do you want me to kill, he said, still railing after the fact that he had true immortality, trying to understand what this being is. He calls himself Naruto Uzumaki, said one, as he reached and pulled out something. It was a bright, golden blade. He tossed it toward the Sannin. That is what you will need. Make sure you plunge that through his heart, and do not remove it. Leave it there. That is what I ask, for you retaining your immortality forever. The Sannin smiled hearing that. He had no idea who or what this thing was, but he got what he always desired. A chance to see it all, to learn it all. And all he has to do was to kill someone. The Sannin smiled at that. As one was smiling, appearing in front of the Sannin as he extended his hand. So do we have a deal? Orochimaru took said hand. Yes, we do, he said. But guys, be and subscribe right here if you want to next part to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.
"一人じゃ危険すぎる。わしはコロハの3人だぞ。